And we're back with another Reddit AMA talking about these collectible avatars that have been taking everything by storm. Today we're talking with Threadguy.eth. So without further ado, let's move on over to the talk. I dig it. Hey, Franklin had to go with what is it? Franklin is boring, not bored. So I guess all the good names got taken.
Yeah, apparently a couple days or I guess years late to the Reddit party, so I had to settle for the not handle.
Well, I think some would say you're just in time, given that this is exactly when Reddit collectible avatars seem to be blowing up. Have you had a chance to look at the collectible avatars yet?
Yeah, I have, and I'm excited to talk to you about it today. It's let's see, it's Tuesday. This has been the only thing we've talked about for the past like 72 hours at this point. So I feel like I've picked up quite a lot in the past couple days here with these Reddit NFTs, or I guess digital collectibles, I should say.
Yeah, I'm not sure what'll stick. Digital collectibles, collectible avatars. I guess we'll see. But before we dive into it, do you want to give a little bit of background to everyone in the audience about who you are and your experience in the NFT space?
Yeah, would love to. So I'm Threadguy. Um, I have been in NFTs since October/November of 2020. I really let's see, that was with NBA Top Shot, but I really got started when I created the at not Thread Guy Twitter account in August of 2021, and started out by creating content, hence the name's Thread Guy. I would write long form Twitter threads highlighting or analyzing, I should say, NFT projects that I really liked. I was lucky enough to really commit all my time to the space in August of 2021, which was really like part of the craziest summer through couple months of NFTs as far as volume is concerned that we've ever seen. And it started with Twitter content, pretty rapidly evolved to shit posts, memes, 150, 200 tweets a day, and just overall market commentary. My account really, really took off in April. I took a job as a director of vibes for Tally Labs and Jenkins the Valet. And, 14 months after creating this account, I'm on a space talking with Wall Street Bets, which is pretty fucking incredible. It's been a hell of a ride.
All right, I think I got to ask, what is a director of vibes?
It's the best title in all of Web3. But a director of vibes, I would pin it down at its core, is really a community builder, which is such an important position in NFTs, but it's a versatile community builder because I'm working on marketing, I'm working on strategy. I get to really sit across all areas of the business, but I'm really focused on the community facing aspect as it relates to Discord, as it relates to being active on Twitter. I host a daily space now with Shill and Villain that we were lucky enough to have you on. So it's at the core a community builder with a lot of versatility.
Awesome. Well, I think you've come to the right place, and I think Reddit's moving kind of in an interesting direction where they've already got all this incredible community stuff going on that they've built over, but it's probably been like a decade and a half, maybe almost 2 decades now. And now entering a space where community is kind of the core focus. So before we kind of open it all up to anyone with an NFT profile picture who wants to come up and ask questions, Let me ask you a couple questions, and we'll maybe kick it off with like, what have been some of your best and worst trades in the space?
Yeah. I know this is Wall Street bets, so that's the $1 million question. And I'll tell you, really, my first NFT trade ever is probably my most significant for a couple reasons. And that trade was in October of 2020. I stumbled across NBA Top Shot, and this was like very, very, very early in Top Shot. And I was a broke college student. I had no money, and I threw $100 on 19 Bradley Beal series one moments for about $5 a pop. I held those until I sold my last one late February, early March of 2021 at a final average of somewhere around $550. So I didn't make a million. I didn't make 500,000, but was my first time experiencing 100x gains. It also was my first time buying an NFT and selling for profit. And if you were around for NBA Top Shot and the euphoria around that market at its peak, that was a hell of a time and really jump started my transition into NFTs. As far as my worst trade goes, this will always haunt me, will always stick with me. My first NFT I bought that wasn't Top Shot, first Ethereum NFT, was called a Plasma Bear. Let's see, I bought it in, I want to say July, maybe probably mid to late July of 2021 for about two of them for zero point 0.1 ETH. It was the first project I ever wrote a thread about. At the time, I had made a couple TikToks. It was the first TikTok I ever made. And the premise was essentially, heavy air quotes, this is a historical NFT. It was created in 2018. There were some pretty big name artists like XCopy made a couple bears. There were some big names involved. And I bought these NFTs. I was very, very confident in the play, held them for about a month. And one day I just decided, you know what, fuck it. I don't have any money. I want to buy something else. I'm going to sell these. So I sold them at break even. And I kid you not, the next day, literally the next day, it was in the middle of Gary V's peak historical NFT pump run through that summer. I woke up the next morning and the floor on these fucking plasma bears was 10 ETH when ETH was $3,000. So big miss right there. Sold for absolutely no reason, and that L will haunt me more than any L ever could.
Damn, that's rough. And I feel like it's a lot more personal when it's NFTs. If it's a stock, it's just like, yeah, I had like 4,000 of these shares or whatever. But this is like, you really see each one. What do you look for when you're looking at NFTs? Are you looking for the whole project or individual NFTs?
Yeah, I mean it's hard. Like evaluating NFT projects is very difficult. I was just listening to your episode with Franklin that you did the other day. Great show, by the way. And Franklin is a prolific trader. He'll get in and get out for 0.01 ETH profit over 20 minutes and scalp like a motherfucker all day. I'm not nearly as active of a trader as that. I'm much more looking for how can I get in early on a project that has, fundamentals I believe in, like more specifically, what is the use case for said project and who are the founders? And I like to buy and hold. And I'm not talking buy and hold for a year, buy and hold for 2 years, but I'm more or less looking to kind of swing trade and get in, get out in a month and kind of play the market. Like I'm not scalping. I'm not actively trading hundreds of NFTs every day. So I like to kind of really lean on who are the founders, who is building this project, and what is the Twitter sentiment, and kind of using a combination of all of these to make some plays.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm just reading some of the questions in the comments, and I'll see if I can ask some from here. Would you? Well, actually, here I'll ask you this. It seems like you've always been on the influencer side, the trading side. Would you ever consider launching your own?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's a question I've gotten a lot. I think influencer ran projects have picked up a lot. And honestly, if anyone has been involved in any of them, what you'll see is 99% of the time, I know this is the case with all projects, but the influencer one specifically, 99% of the time, there is one pump, there's some hype, they change their profile picture back, and we never talk about the project again. I definitely have the idea in my head that I want to have a project, something that's mine down the line, but that's not in the short-term plans at all. Like I really want to build, for a lack of a better word, really solidify my spot in the place. I want to learn, I want experience, and I want to hold off on any project, even thinking about a project, until I'm in a position where I feel like I can launch and commit the next, 10, 15 years successfully into this project. So for me, that's way out of the picture right now and not something I'm even thinking about.
No, that's awesome. I appreciate you keeping it real because for those here on Reddit, I don't know if you know, but it seems like everyone's always trying to promote themselves, their project, and it gets really boring really fast. I don't know if you'd agree, Thread Guy, but yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. And in the bull market, like I'm experiencing my first mega bear market right now as a trader, and I got to experience the peak euphoria in the 2021 bull markets. And it was a lot easier to launch a project and make seven figures in the bull market. And there was a lot of crap, there was a lot of fog, and a lot of influencers made out like some fucking bandits in the bull market. And it's all gone. Like all these projects that were nothing other than a JPEG with some decent looking art propped up by artificial hype is all gone, and it's just a stain on these people's resumes. And I don't want to participate in it right now. Like a lot of influencers have done it, a lot of influencers have rugged a lot of money, a lot of influencers have rugged their communities, and it's something that never really goes away. And I feel like you only really get one shot to do it right, and we're way too early to prematurely launch a project and ruin your reputation for a couple $100,000.
Right on. So now that we are, as you said, in this mega bear run, sorry, where do you see the opportunity, either for influencers or for the average everyday person?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a two-parted answer for me. I think one, we are in a bear market, and we've been for some time. And what I've noticed, particularly as it relates on the Twitter side, is it feels like 75 to 80% of the creators and the influencers and the builders and across the board are gone. And what I've noticed is there's a massive content gap specifically, and there's a huge opportunity on a level playing field for anyone to come in, for anyone to build an audience, for anyone to grow a platform by putting out dope content, by putting out education and entertainment and stuff that people want. And there's been some people that have burst onto the scene in the bear market. The money isn't here, but the attention is here. And some people have burst on and captured a ton of that attention. And to me, like, the growing a sustainable platform is so much more valuable than cashing in on some money right away. And I think the ability to solidify yourself long term in Web3 during this bear market is undeniable. And anyone that isn't paying attention is missing a large opportunity. And secondly, I'll say that we are in a bear market. Volume is in the gutter, liquidity is in the gutter, but there's always something pumping somewhere. And the good traders, I'm not going to sit here and call myself a outstanding trader, because I'm not. There's always something pumping somewhere, though. And as we've seen, right, with these Reddit NFTs, in the middle of such a bear market, there's a massive liquidity event, like massive opportunity for profit. Anyone that got in, at $10, at $25 is up huge. And, this is the low hanging fruit example. I'll even take it back. 2-3 weeks ago, Cardano NFTs got this massive catalyst. They were the talk of the town. That's all that was pumping. Everyone was buying. People were making a ton of money in the bear market. And, even a week ago, Aptos NFTs became the talk of the town, and everybody was in and everybody was buying and everybody was making money. So I think there's always something pumping somewhere, especially as it relates to NFTs, because some of these collections are so small that it doesn't take much to make some pretty astronomical gains. And as it relates to the content scene, it's wide open for people that want to come on, create, and grow their brands.
Absolutely. And you kind of touched on this, but about the smaller collection sizes that we're seeing on Reddit, do you think having different generations is a different kind of model, a distribution model of these NFTs, and what's the impact of that?
Yeah, it definitely is. And I don't know if we haven't talked about this. I see a lot of parallels to NBA Top Shot in the structure of the supply, in the onboarding process, in the adoption event, in a lot of ways. And you might hear that and think it's bearish sentiment because whatever happened to Top Shot happened. But Top Shot was one of the most euphoric times in the market, one of the biggest onboarding events ever, one of the most memorable moments in my mind. And I think Reddit NFTs are somewhat similar in the structure of these collections, and it's way less a sense of like there's a Bored Ape Yacht Club project, there's a Doodles project, there's an Azuki project, but rather there's like a series 1 like there is in Top Shot, there's a series 2, assuming there's going to be a 3, 4, and 5. So there's definitely a tough line to balance between enough supply for adoption and onboarding, but avoiding dilution, which can really, really wreck the floors. But it's definitely a new approach and a new angle that Reddit has taken. And I mean, undeniably has fucking shaken up how we do things.
Absolutely. And part of that, I think, is hopefully a move back to utility. You kind of touched on it earlier, but what utility do you think that Reddit can offer that no one else can? Or is there?
Yeah, I mean, the utility question is always an interesting one because we're always talking, utility. Every project claims to be the next great thing with utility. And very rarely do we see a project actually do something different. I think there's a huge opportunity with Reddit specifically as it relates to token gated subreddits and token gated communities. Reddit, yeah, I'm pretty new to Reddit, so forgive me. It feels somewhat similar to Discord in a lot of ways, where it's very community centric, way less focused on the influencer and the one individual than it is contributing to a group and contributing to a community. And with that, Discord, basically every NFT Discord has a token gated chats and token gated servers, etc. I think there's a huge opportunity for that on Reddit. I also think there's a huge opportunity for subreddits and these communities to create their own avatars and create NFTs themselves. Like, I don't know if you've been considering a Wall Street Bets NFT or something like that, but I think that is going to be one of the biggest immediate transitions that we'll see from these Reddit NFTs.
Right on. As we get further in this talk, I'm going to start inviting up a couple people with NFT profile pictures. If you guys have any questions to ask Threadguy, otherwise leave them in the comments. But to answer your question, have we thought about it? Kind of. We've got our degen friends, but really we've just kind of had fun creating a bunch of art that we use now all over the subreddit, including our spooky Halloween avatar that we've got in our banners. So it's been a fun process, but we haven't launched anything. And I think a big part of that is that we're afraid to kind of harm any of our users or risk, burning any of our users. Do you think that's going to maybe be a problem for Reddit? Right now everything's great, everything's going up. But what happens when prices inevitably start to fall for some collections?
Yeah, and that's part of the game, and it may seem like in this euphoria that it's up only and everything is going to 10x because my friend on Reddit said so, but that's just not the case. And there has to be pullbacks, and it sucks. Like, people are going to get burned, people are going to get hurt, people are going to lose money. It sucks, but I think the way these NFTs were rolled out is going to sustain so many users long term because, especially in this bear market, we've had a lot of conversations around how do you onboard people successfully. And there's a lot of people that will bitch and moan on Twitter about, the content is too low IQ, nobody's going to join, or like the influencers don't know enough about NFTs, nobody's going to join, there's not enough education, nobody's going to join. At the end of the day, the way I see it, how do you get somebody into NFTs and get them to stay invested and interested in NFTs? And the obvious answer to me is you get them to buy an NFT for a low amount of money and sell it for a lot more money than you paid for it. And exactly as it relates to these Reddit NFTs, people got in at $10, $20, $25. For the most part, they probably had no idea what they're buying. That's irrelevant. I had no idea what I was buying when I bought NBA Top Shot moments. I had no fucking clue what I was doing and why I was doing it, but I bought it. And the next day I was up 10x. And, if you you turn $10 into 100 for the first time, and I guarantee that you're going to want to learn more, and I guarantee it's going to be very difficult to leave that space. And with the structure of the rollout of the Reddit NFTs, a lot of people got in at nothing and got out at a lot. And even when I'll say prices inevitably fall and people inevitably lose money and volume dips, there's still a lot of people that got in early and made money, and those users aren't going anywhere. So even when there's a pullback, even when this hype kind of dies down, there's a lot of sustainable users that is very, very beneficial for what we're trying to do here.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think when you're talking about a lot of users, you're probably referencing that 3 million new users coming online, coming into the NFT space that Reddit has kind of touted. But those were largely airdropped NFTs. So what metric would you use to more accurately assess how many Redditors are really getting into the space?
Yeah, that very good that you call that out, because we've been throwing around that 3 million number a lot in the last couple of days, and it isn't exactly accurate. I would look at how many wallets have purchased a second one or own a second one, traded any of these, because I'm sure there's a ton of people in that boat that got a free avatar with absolutely no idea what they own and no plans to do anything with it. But if you look at the amount of those wallets that have actually traded or own more than one, I think that's a much better gauge for how many actual NFT traders and users there are in the Reddit community.
Right on. I'm inviting up any users with NFT profile pictures. If you want to ask questions, Joe Boy, this is your chance.
Thank you so much, guys, for bringing me up. I'm pretty active in Twitter, so I know Threadguy from there. I wanted to ask, Thread, you've been discussing this for a while now with on Alex's shows and things like that. The importance of kind of I guess to a certain degree having this same mentality that we have in the startup world in NFTs. Like here, it's kind of like it feels like there's no whole bars. If you fail once, if you do something that's as founders, like, you were speaking about potentially starting your own project, but you have to do it at the right time, because if you fail or if it doesn't do that well, you pretty much get slammed by the space. I'm just wondering, is that kind of part of the reason why you haven't done a project? And does that kind of come into your mindset in terms of the fact that it is kind of this like, I guess, brutal space in terms of not allowing you to, as a traditional kind of startup space would, the ability to be able to experiment to a certain degree and maybe fail and then be able to do kind of learn from that and rise up and kind of do another project. I just wanted to get your thoughts on, because I think like you add a lot of value. Obviously, the reason why I'm asking, I think you add a lot of value. I think you've shown that here in the Reddit talks. And I think it's a shame if that kind of comes into it, the fact that people like yourself and some other people, maybe they're kind of sitting on the sidelines, not doing projects and allowing others to come into the space and suck that liquidity out without having the right mentality. Like it'll be a shame if that's kind of weighing on you, and that's part of the reason why you're not doing a project.
Yeah, good question, and thank you. So I'll say that it's something that's in my head, right? Like in the back of my mind, if I would ever think about seriously consider launching something, like that's something you have to think about, right? Because it's just part of the game. And I'll say you're absolutely right that I do think the space is very brutal towards failed projects, but I also think the space is brutal towards failed projects because of just the absurd amount of grifting we saw in the bull market. And shady founders really did this and really set the narrative. And it's a result of influencers and bad actors that come in, launch a project, take $7 million, and then just disappear. Like I think there's levels to what a failed project is, and minting out, raising 500 grand and then scrapping the project in a month because your floor price didn't flip the basey is not a failed project. Like that's a rug. That's a grifter mentality That's bad actions. That's, you got your money, you got your check, and you ran. And I'll take the other side as well, that I don't think every person needs to launch a project in order to contribute and benefit the community. Like, we need projects, of course. We need founders that are building. We need utility and innovative shit. But just because you got 50,000 followers on Twitter and have some influence doesn't mean we need another PFP project out of you. So I think there's a combination of figuring out what the space needs and how you can deliver it, and then not being afraid to fail, because if you do it the right way with the right intentions and you prove that you're here for the right reasons and to build, like, the space will cut you some slack. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a difference between a failed project where you committed everything for 6 months, for a year, it didn't really work out. Maybe you try to kick it up with a second project or a second collection via an airdrop, versus I launched a project, a month has gone by, the floor price is down, this is a failure, I'm just going to scrap it. And I think differentiating those two is important for thinking about failed projects and how to grow from a failed project.
Good stuff. Yeah, I think failures are kind of inevitable in the space. And so learning as much as you can to kind of avoid that makes a lot of sense. We've got a lot of people in the comments talking about Conehead, Cone Guy. I've just invited up Delta Money to see if he wants to talk a little bit about that. What the heck is Cone Guy? Cone Guy is silent. I think that's the lesson we've learned.
Yeah,
Hey.
What's up, man?
What's going on? Not sure if you were referencing me as Cone Guy, but what's up? It's Delta Money over here. I was like one of the original guys to post some DD on GME. I was like the big post that blew up the failure to deliver and all that, and kind of like exposed that whole thing. And anyway, so back here on Wall Street Bets, and we're talking about NFTs. I bought into Gen 1 just because it was pretty cool, avatars. And even then, back then, I thought that $25 was honestly a little steep for some of this, right? Because that's probably what everyone was thinking, right? And Gen 1 didn't really sell out for a few months, and no one really seemed to be into it. And then Gen 2 comes around, and I think everyone starts to realize like just the actual impact of it. And I think, Threadguy, what I kind of have like the question for you is, there seems to be like a real big difference right now, like in the communities between like Twitter and Reddit, in terms of like the NFT, communities, and sort of like there's a little bit of contention and brotherly love at the same time for all of it. Now, I think like a big difference is, at least what I'm seeing, is when you guys are launching products or NFTs and collections, there's a core team that is launching this product, and inevitably benefiting from it, right? And so so there's an entity or people or persons there that receive potentially massive amounts of reward for it. And the main difference I see on the Reddit NFT side is really all that money is really going to Reddit and to the artist directly. And so it's almost like a different view, right? It's almost like NFTs for the people, right? Like anyone can buy it for $5. It's kind of benefiting a corporation, sort of, but now, because they're on the blockchain, now you're a part of this other community, right? In which there is like this whole other side to it, in which I think the Reddit NFT guys are sort of getting brought into on the first time. So I'd like to, hear your thoughts on some of this, and like what the differences are, and like how these NFTs get launched, and how that affects like the communities, and what that means.
Yeah, and to your point, that's exactly why I think NBA Top Shot is a great parallel to these Reddit NFTs, because you're essentially buying and investing in Reddit's plans to do something with these NFTs, just like I was buying, Zion Williamson moments, betting on the NBA Top Shot marketing machine and what they'll be able to do with NBA integrations. And it's different in a sense, at least to me, in my short experience with these NFTs. It's different than like buying a Bored Ape or buying a Clone X or buying an Azuki, because you're buying into the founders of that one project. Whereas with the Reddit NFTs, it feels like, there's 50 or 60 or 70, however many different collections all under the Reddit umbrella. So it's kind of like if Reddit wins, they all win in a sense, versus if the Bored Ape Yacht Club wins and Ethereum wins, that does not mean that Clone X wins or Azuki wins. I think, go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't say it. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
I think like from a investment perspective for me, like looking at it with no idea what the fuck I'm doing, it was hard to conceptualize, okay, like there are different artists. The artists can add their own utility. I think I had Fatty Bags was on and talked about the artist pass, and I'm sure that's going to be a trend across some of these projects, but you're way less investing in the artist, at least how I see it, way more investing in Reddit's ability to push these and to grow the community and to grow how many people are into these NFTs. So it definitely is a little bit of a different approach. Again, I look at it much more similarly to an NBA Top Shot kind of project than I do like a one specific NFT collection. But there's definitely a lot here.
So are you saying that maybe it makes more sense to look at or not care so much about the artist?
So yeah, so the way I've been buying, and I hate to keep using Top Shot, but I'm going to use it because I feel like there's a lot of parallels. Like when I looked at Top Shot and was buying those for the long term, they had a season 1, which was like the rarest, the first set they dropped. And then there was a season 2, which was newer. It was cheaper. It had more supply. Then there was a series 3, which was, again, cheaper, much more supply of 4, which was way more supply. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, if Reddit NFTs win, like I'm looking at this generation 1, or was it series 1, whatever, the first genesis of these avatars. And I'm like, these win long term. Like I feel like if Reddit NFTs win, like the first ones to come out are kind of all under the Reddit NFT umbrella. I kind of think of them as the genesis and ultimately will be the biggest beneficiaries. Now, I'm sure that there are going to be some artists that are able to add utility. Like, again, we've already seen it. So that's a very interesting wrinkle in thinking about what I'm buying and why, because there's the second layer where, okay, even if Reddit NFTs stagnate, like this one specific artist for this one specific collection can add a utility only for that collection that can propel it forward while everything else stagnates. So I think it's kind of a two-headed approach. And I have not been able to familiarize myself with all these artists yet. But ultimately, I think there will be a couple artists that really separate themselves from the pack in those collections, hold strong. And the first ones, the rarest ones, the most scarce ones, probably the series 1 or something I would be looking at as well.
Yeah, I mean, what's kind of funny is when I first got this cone, right? It was I would say it was really funny, right? So I saw that everyone started posting cone on the cryptocurrency subreddit. And to be honest with you, the cryptocurrency people were getting pissed off because they saw it as like this dumb Reddit NFT brigade, right? And so they started throwing a lot of shade against the people with the cone, saying just repeatedly cones in chat. And so I was like, this has some serious meme potential, right? From being on Wall Street Bets and knowing like the power of the meme. And like you see things like Dogecoin and whatever, right? There really is the power of the meme. And so like, you jump on it, but then immediately within like a day, someone created, some other utility. I'm trying to follow some rules here. They created some other utility for the cone and then airdropped it to everyone. And even myself was like, this is so stupid. Like, I can't believe that someone's just, I can click and create utility, quote unquote, and airdrop it to people in a couple seconds. Like, what does this mean anything? And, before you know it, you're like creating scarcity on scarcity because this airdrop only went to the original 600 people. And I only see this like increasing more and more and more. Like you said, artists going above and beyond. We're already seeing artists airdrop other things to other people, just like as thank yous. I can't believe it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've already got like subreddits that are right now manually approving people based on like their profile pictures and stuff. I'm just really curious to like see where this goes, right? Because it was just a $20 avatar. I mean, that's literally what it started as. And now in a matter of a week, it is I mean, it's become completely something else. I'm just really blown away. You know, the fact that we're even here talking to you about this type of thing on a subreddit that wouldn't even normally talk about this kind of thing, I think is really groundbreaking. And I think it's really cool that like we're all a part of this.
Yeah, I'm just as shocked that I'm on the stage with Wall Street Bets as well. I think the cone trait specifically is a very interesting kind of case study to pay attention to, because these Reddit NFTs are very different than what is basically out there for profile picture projects. And there basically is one base that's the base avatar across all NFTs, and the traits are swappable. And that isn't something that most NFT collections have the ability to do. And what I think is going to come out of this, what we've already seen with the cone, is I think of the CryptoPunk collection. And I think of the hoodie trait in particular, which is not the rarest trait by any means. But the aesthetic value and the prestige that comes with a hoodie, because the market decided the hoodie is valuable, is worth way, way more than similar traits from a rarity scale. And because the Reddit collections have swappable traits, I think there's going to be a couple traits that get picked out in particular, like the cones, where people decide, okay, this trait is way more valuable than other traits, whether it's for the aesthetic value, whether it's for the meme power, whatever it is. Some specific traits from some specific collections, I think, will be very desirable and have floor prices that don't necessarily make sense compared to the other NFTs in the collection, strictly based off like a supply or a series gauge. Like I think there's going to be some traits, because at the end of the day, like that's the most important thing. And if there's like a crown or a halo or something that people decide, yo, I really want that trait, you know, even if there's 1,000 of them and there's another in that exact collection that has 150 supply, like we can see some very weird price discrepancies because people decide, I want that trait. And I think if you look at CryptoPunks and even Bored Apes as the aesthetic traits that are worth way more than their rarity, there's a lot of parallels there. And I think something that you should pay attention to when figuring out, okay, what the hell should I buy and what the hell is going to hold value?
Definitely. I mean, you know, we're talking combinations here where you could potentially need to own up to 5 NFTs to create this combination. And so if there's only one of 600 for this one of 5, one of 100 for this 2 of 5, I mean, we're talking about possibly some really exclusive stuff. And when I was first buying the original NFTs that I got, even for this cone, when you go in and buy it, you probably can't see it now because the store is closed. You can't really see what the traits are. So you almost have to guess. And the first trait, the first NFT that I bought, I didn't even know that you could mix and match. Honestly, I don't even think for the first week or two, people even knew that you could mix or match traits. They just bought the whole NFT as the whole NFT. And it wasn't until maybe like a week went by, people were like, wait a minute, I can like mix and match this? And then even the more recent NFTs, when you go and buy them, I mean, now you can see what the traits are, but when you saw it in the store, you just saw the whole profile picture. And you didn't know that the cone was an individual trait, or that, this halo was an individual trait.
That's exactly what happened to me. I bought, I think I want to say 3 days ago now, I was like, all right, what the fuck are these Reddit NFTs? I went on, I bought a couple just to buy it, just to experience it. And it wasn't until like the next day, 24 hours later, I actually went on to Reddit and played around with it for a second. I was like, oh shit, okay, like this is what I just bought. These traits are swappable. Like this is completely different than what we typically see with the profile picture collections on ETH or on Sol or on anything else, which was definitely different.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll take up less of the stage because I feel like I've been talking for a while. Great talking to you, man. And hope to see you around. Hope to see you on the, subreddits and all that good stuff.
Yeah, likewise, man. Appreciate the questions.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Delta. Threadguy, I think something that, and a special insight that you can give that maybe no one else here knows about is kind of the experience being an NFT influencer, if you will, and how you currently perceive Reddit in the grand scheme of things in terms of how you want to grow your reach or audience.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I I'm exclusively on Twitter right now. And that up until this point has made perfect sense because everything NFT related and almost everything crypto related has been on Twitter. So that is where I kind of made my stake and spend all of my time. For me, maybe I'm just have no alpha. I live under a rock, whatever. This Reddit NFT thing came out of nowhere. And before that, I had never even considered Reddit as a platform I would take my content to. Correct me if I'm wrong, but up until, I don't know, a couple months ago, Reddit was far and away the most toxic, negative place towards NFTs. And if you even like dared utter the word NFT in the subreddit, you would get chased out of town and blocked and deleted and kicked and cussed at and screamed at. So it never even really crossed my mind. And then a couple months later, this Reddit NFTs pop up, and then it's like all of a sudden, we have as many wallets as OpenSea, and even if that isn't exactly true, there's a fuck ton of people on Reddit. There's obvious staying power here, which we already touched on, or at least I believe there's obvious staying power, and there's a buzzing community on Reddit. And so for me, it's kind of like I'm thinking heavily, and I guess this is a question I'll ask back to you, like how can I, as someone with a platform on Twitter, come over to Reddit and benefit what is being done here? Because there's a couple options, a couple things I've thought about. And the first and obvious is you can create your own subreddit. Like Alexander made one yesterday. It's been popping, it's been going great. But I realize there can only be a couple subreddits that have any staying power, that gain any traction and are worth spending time with. So it's almost like, how can I come over to Reddit and provide value in a meaningful way and in a sustainable way? And the first thing that really comes to mind as well is these Reddit talks. Like we're on stage right now. I do this every day on Twitter Spaces, and we host for an hour every day. Alex hosts for like 8 hours every day. Like that is a very low hanging fruit. Obvious opportunity is like, how can we bridge Twitter Spaces and Reddit talks? Because even if there's a little clashing between the communities, people on Twitter are resistant to go to Reddit, people on Reddit are resistant to go to Twitter. We're still doing the same thing here. Like we're trading the same NFTs, we're buying the same NFTs, we're selling them, and we have the same goals, the same intentions in mind. So it's almost like, how can someone from crypto Twitter come over and add value over here is something I'm definitely curious about.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good question, and one that I think will be answered by people who are just innovating and finding interesting ways to contribute. But I think probably the biggest difference between Twitter and Reddit is that Twitter is very short form. The common thing is that Twitter users don't have an attention span longer than 4 seconds to read like a 140 character tweet. Any longer than that, and they just kind of disappear. So, and honestly, with that, I don't know how you made it as thread guy. But I guess apparently there's some users out there who can read a full thread and not fall asleep. But maybe you're just an interesting writer.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's absolutely right. And we were talking earlier about the same topic in a space, and something that I picked up on, because we were talking like, ultimately what happens? Like, is Twitter gonna win and be the hub for this? Are everyone from Twitter gonna migrate to Reddit? What's gonna happen? And I think there's a combination of both. And to me, Twitter is the best platform for sharing content, and Reddit is the best platform for storing content. And my Twitter handle is Threadguy. Like I started by making Twitter threads, and if you've ever spent any time on Twitter trying to find educational content, good fucking luck, because the second that thing hits the timeline and 18-20 minutes go past, you'll never ever see that tweet again. Like, good luck trying to find one of my old threads and trying to use the advanced search tools and digging through for educational content. However, on Reddit, it's the exact opposite, where it feels like storing information, particularly threads and like longer form articles, is built to be on Reddit. Like that's exactly what it's designed for. And I think we have a major problem with education in Web3 and NFTs in crypto. And, we always tell people like, okay, how do you get started? Yeah, come to Twitter, follow the right people, listen to spaces, whatever. But if you're coming with literally no context and you're scrolling the bear market timeline and just reading engagement farm after engagement farm and low IQ shit post and, stupid tweet after stupid tweet, you don't learn anything. However, if you were to filter right into Reddit and everything you need from an educational standpoint, onboarding standpoint is right there laid out for you in thread form, I think that would do wonders for getting people up to speed ASAP. Whereas Twitter, you can't really do that. So I look at the two as very different platforms that have a ton of potential with synergy and cross-pollinating.
Right on. I think that it's that exact experience that you discussed, that's why people originally were so toxic towards NFTs, because they saw exactly what you were describing, like just engagement farm after engagement farm, just GMs all the way. So to answer your question, I think the best thing that an influencer can do is come over and just share high quality content, original content that they wrote that kind of establishes them as at least having done some research or having some original thoughts. And I think if they can do that, they'll definitely start to attract the following.
Yeah, I think one disconnect I've seen in the past, 48 hours, I guess, since I've been snooping around on Reddit and watching other crypto Twitter influencers make their way over to Reddit is, one, like you said, high quality content. High quality content is not something we do on Twitter. We do the low IQ content GM, like, yo, what are we sweeping today? Bullshit. And that rises to the top. And immediately there's heavy Reddit pushback there. And I think the second part that holds true more than anything is, to me, Reddit is way more community centric, way less influencer centric. Like, your personal brand doesn't matter, but your contributions to one group for the betterment of that community is what matters. And like, the people on Reddit don't give a fuck about how many followers you have on Twitter, and rightfully so. Like, I don't think that people should just be stumbling onto Reddit with this like pretentious attitude that they matter and that they're important. What they have to say is important. You should listen to me. I think that's one of the reasons, right? Like, I didn't jump right in and make a subreddit. I haven't jumped right in and made a bunch of posts. Like, I kind of want to just be a reply guy on Reddit. I want to answer some threads, like check out some quality content, check out what's happening, and understand how this platform works before I get too far ahead of myself, because it's a different platform and the content is different and the approach has to be different. Just like if you were to be a YouTuber to transition to TikTok, like, you have to approach it differently and post differently from a different angle. And I think that that's one of the disconnects that the crypto Twitter users migrating over have missed, and has led to some initial pushback and bad vibes across the board.
Absolutely. Sorry, I just invited the Ham I Am up, but I think he's just going to ask me about a thread I removed of his. But yeah, you absolutely need to approach the platforms differently, and I think that's honestly a big part of the reason that things have been clashing. Like, I don't know if you or some of the listeners have seen Franklin getting immediately banned off of avatar trading because he posted his Bored Apes slideshow, but that's because that's not what the subreddit was for. And so, yeah, definitely learning the ins and outs of the individual communities you contribute to is going to be key. And the Ham I Am, mistakes happen. I'm sorry your thread got removed. I approved it now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've been spent a lot of time on Wall Street Bets, and there's a lot of history here that I think a lot of people coming from crypto Twitter could probably use some time kind of going back and learning more about. But I did find it kind of ironic, whoever's manning the Wall Street Bets account was kind of up there just talking about, like, getting NFT content on here, and I had like I had the post removed, as that conversation was happening, and I'm glad to hear that we're gonna kind of shake things up and kind of welcome some of that content, and I wasn't particularly upset. It was just kind of ironic. I do want to say that people coming over, and you guys might have already covered this, but if you're coming from crypto Twitter, a lot of everybody over there is accustomed to just posting whatever's on their mind. Like they just post like whatever. All right. And I think that a lot of the tension has come from, like you say, a lot of these bans and post removals for not following the rules. I mean, every sub has like very specific rules. If you post and it's not like within that framework, it's just going to get removed. In my case, I felt like I'd followed all the rules, but maybe one of the mods just felt it was off topic. But anyway, I thanks for having me up. I'm actually just speaking in these. I keep calling them spaces, but what do you call this over here?
Reddit talk.
Yeah, Reddit talk. Yeah, speaking in Reddit talk is actually that's the first time I've ever done that. So I think that Reddit is much more scalable than Twitter, and I hope this continues to grow for the NFT community.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Did you have a question for Threadguy, or Threadguy, did you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I just will add on really quickly to your point about people getting banned for not following the rules. And yeah, like people need to learn how to use the platform before using it. And that's something, again, like that's kind of why I've been approaching it like, okay, I want to just be a reply guy. I want to just kind of lurk in the threads and figure out what goes on here because it's different. And a lot of people are frustrated, like, oh, I try to go on Reddit, like they push back, they banned me, like they called me a dumbass, whatever. But it's like, yo, you went into some foreign territory, you rushed into it, and you didn't follow the rules. Like, of course, there's going to be pushback there. I think it's very early growing pains, and people on crypto Twitter are dumbasses, but they're not stupid, and we'll figure it out, and this will kind of blow over fairly quickly, in my opinion.
I was going to say, Threadguy, this is knocked or knocked, formerly knocked.eth. We've interacted quite a bit, but I don't know. I tried to change my display name to knocked. Apparently, it still says in the ham I am. I don't really know how that's working. Even though I changed my display name, apparently it still shows up in the ham I am. I don't know.
Yeah, great to talk to you, man. And I'm no Reddit expert, but I think you have to create a whole new account. Like I had to create a new account to get the Not Thread Guy handle. I'm not sure if that's the case, but it was for me.
Yeah, you'll probably need to create a new handle, but don't worry, you can message me privately for technical support.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, Threadguy, with like roughly 7 minutes left, is there any kind of like big thoughts that you wanted to put forth to the Reddit crowd, things that they really need to know or should know as they're entering the space?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a basic one, but I've been saying it a lot on Spaces. And as I've been scrolling these Reddit discords and the Reddit subreddits, I've been seeing a ton of links being thrown around, specifically like OpenSea links and links to these NFT collections. And I'll say that a link is a major, 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 major red flag in crypto Twitter. Like if anybody at any point sends you a link, like you do not click it. And I think a lot of people are getting their first experience with NFTs right now and might have to learn the hard way, but you're literally one bad click and a MetaMask approval away from losing every single thing you own in your wallet. Like it'll happen that fast, right? You click a bad OpenSea link, you click approve on your MetaMask and it's gone. So I mean, I can't say stop sending links because I have no control over that, but I can't stress enough, like, do not click an OpenSea link from anybody, even your grandma. Like she might have bad intentions. You got to be careful because people are fucking ruthless on crypto Twitter and they'll come in and take you for everything you own. So that's just like a general security 101 heads up. Like, please do not click these links.
Damn, even grandma's out here dealing NFTs.
I'm honestly I'm really worried if for anyone that's starting to dive into NFTs, because like I feel like we're going to relive the past year all over again, and it's just an unfortunate reality. I think someone's going to get scammed. It's just a reality of the situation. And in Discord, I mean, everywhere. You don't if you're in Discord talking about NFT, you turn your DMs off. If no one will DM you about free giveaways or yada yada. He mentioned the links. It is absolutely ruthless. You get even if you venture on Twitter, if random people are DMing you about free giveaways, it's all scams. It's all scams, and that's one of the reasons why I think Reddit was rightfully so distrustful of NFTs is all the scams. But what got lost in the sauce is the fact that the non-fungible token is a technology. It doesn't have a free will. It isn't out there to scam you. And to say that NFTs are scams are like saying websites are scams. It kind of misses the point. Do people use websites to run scams? Absolutely. They use NFTs to run scams. But it's besides the point. It's like the technology is bigger than all of that. Security is going to get better over time, but right now it's truly the Wild West.
Yeah, I think we've heard a lot about, how important security is, but for all the newcomers, Hem or Threadguy, can you just talk a little bit about the last year and what that's meant for people losing everything they have, just briefly?
Yeah, I mean it's been brutal. Like you kind of have to, I don't want to say you have to learn the hard way, but I want to say that pretty much everybody that's been here for long enough has got rugged at some point. Discord DMs got to be off. Like nobody is DMing you free alpha, free giveaways, free anything. I think we see a lot, like there's a lot of FOMO in this space. Like there's a lot of, oh shit, it's pumping now, no, 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 like get in right now, like do this right now, do this right now. And what I've learned the hard way is when you're interacting with the blockchain and you're approving transactions on a wallet that has a lot of stuff in it that's worth a lot of money, like unless you are 1,000, 100,000 million% sure what you're clicking and what you're approving, do not do it because you cannot reverse shit on the blockchain. And like, again, I had to learn that the hard way. I think a lot of people had to learn that the hard way. And, you're going to buy a project that you think is valuable that goes to zero. That's just going to happen. But getting scammed because you didn't pay attention and you clicked a bad link and you approved a bad transaction can be stopped. And that part you can control. And it's just a matter of slowing the fuck down, taking an extra second and making sure you crossed your T's and dotted your I's, because the FOMO can make you do crazy things. And as we're seeing with these NFTs, like volume comes in and like, oh shit, someone bought a Midas for 20 ETH, like, oh, there's 25 ETH sale, and like things get hectic, people get hectic, and shit, you can get sped up. And when you get sped up, you kind of get out of your element and do things you wouldn't normally do. So that's what I would say is just when you're messing around with the blockchain, slow the fuck down.
Yeah, and just for some context for the listeners, like we're talking about big losses here. We're talking about hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars just being lost when a wallet gets compromised.
And I'll say too, like on the doubling down on slowing down, you just had Franklin on. Franklin just posted that he fat fingered a Bored Ape and sold it for 9 ETH, right? Tried to list it for 90, clicked 9, forgot the 0, listed without realizing, sold the ape, and lost $100,000. Like that is someone, you had him on, you know how smart, how bright that guy is, has 60 Bored Apes. Like that's one of the peak traders in the entire space. Fat fingered an ape and lost 100 grand. Like that's how easy it is. That's how quickly one bad click, one bad decision can have pretty substantial implications.
I would like to say real quick that the cool thing about decentralized finance and crypto gives you the opportunity to be your own bank. Unfortunately, you also have to be your own fraud department. And also, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to be your own FDIC insurance. So, just look at the transactions. I've been in crypto a long time. I didn't get rugged by Mt. Gox, but my friends did. So, like, and I've been rugged. I was rugged by Bitfinex. So, you just got to be careful, guys. And there's advantages obviously to being decentralized, but there are also risks that are unique to this space, and you got to understand those before you go in there. If you have the ability, I would recommend setting up a device that you have not used for any other crypto, like an old laptop or something you have around. Wipe that thing, toss MetaMask on that, a fresh MetaMask, a burner wallet, play around on there, so that way you can learn before you start exposing your potential larger stake to these kinds of hacks and these kinds of frauds. And there's also things like revoke cache and stuff like that, where you can go through and see all the permissions you have open. It's wise to close those out as often as possible on your wallet and not leave any permissions open, because that's how you can get taken advantage of later.
And please buy a ledger. Like, please buy a cold wallet, a ledger that you send your valuable NFTs to, and don't interact unless you're sending it back to your hot wallet to buy, sell, and trade.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think sometimes people get a little bit bored of this because we talk about security every single time, and it gets a little bit tedious. But it really is that important. But let's end off on like a more excited, energetic note. Uranium, Hamayam, Scald, Redskin. Do you guys have any questions for Threadguy about the space in general?
No, I didn't have any questions. I was just gonna come on and just just say, as a software developer, I think it's super important that people understand that you should have one wallet. You should. It's so easy to create wallets on MetaMask or Phantom if you're on Solana or whatever. You can have multiple wallets, like Scald was saying. Have multiple wallets, and you can have a couple that only interact with each other. So you have one where you just interact with buying NFTs or clicking links or whatever, and if anything's dodgy, because it's not always possible to notice or to see if a link's dodgy or if something's a scam. So if you want to buy an NFT for 100 Solana or 10 Solana or whatever, send 10 Solana to that wallet, interact with the smart contract. If it's a scam, you lose your 10 Solana. If it's not, you buy the NFT, but do not interact with any kind of smart contract. Don't click on any kind of link with your hot wallet. Your hot wallet the only interactions that your hot wallet should have is your burner wallet sending NFTs or crypto to that wallet, and that's it. That's all I kind of wanted to say.
Absolutely. And hey, look, if you lose 10 Solana, the good news is it's just Solana, so it's not even real money.
Yeah, that's like 10 cents. So who the fuck cares? Not security related, but I kind of have one more thought I just want to put out there. I was on a space last night, and we had some really dope people on, and we basically were talking about these Reddit NFTs and what is the most significant part of what's happened in the past week. And my favorite answer was, it has nothing to do with adoption. It has nothing to do with price action and making money. But the most significant aspect of these Reddit NFTs is it validated everything we've been doing in the NFT space for the past 3, 4, 5, 6 years. What I mean by that is Reddit, the problem, I mean, I'm going to say it straight up, the most toxic and negative NFT platform that existed, launched NFTs to their users without using the word NFT, without using the word wallet. The only thing they mentioned was the blockchain was on there once. They called it a vault. They called them digital collectibles. The word NFT was never mentioned once. And it played out, or is playing out, the exact same way that it did in 2017 when CryptoPunks came out, and when people started buying them and pumping them in 2020 and transitioned into the NFT space that we have now. Like, it to the T has validated every single thing we've done in NFTs without even using the word NFT, without even using the word blockchain. And to me, like, no matter what happens to the price, no matter what happens with Reddit onboarding, etc. That is the most important part of everything we're doing here, because it doesn't matter if you got started with Top Shot. It doesn't matter if you got started with Reddit NFTs. You now see the value prop and the why it's so attractive to be part of the space. And that is pretty fucking cool. It really feels like a social experiment that's unfolding like right before our eyes, and we're participating in it.
Absolutely. So keep your eyes peeled because it's just evolving more and more. Redskin, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying amen. That's all. Amen.
I got questions for Not the Thread Guy. So first, I've been out of the NFT space for about 6 weeks, which is a long time to not be watching the NFT meta. So my question is, free mints, is that still part of the meta now that Ethereum fees have been a little reduced by, well, some cases largely reduced? That's my first question.
Yeah, I'll answer that really quick. I'll say all new projects have slowed down significantly. Like if there has ever been a dead 6 weeks, it's been this right here. As it relates to free mints in particular, I think there was a pretty major development that happened, and that was basically the adoption of 0% royalties. I'm not sure how the royalties work with these Reddit NFTs. I believe the creators get 2.5%, and there's a glitch in an OpenSea that says 0. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the free mint meta has really, really been killed by 0% royalties, which I'm sure, if it isn't already, is going to be a huge debate and conversation on these Polygon / Reddit NFTs. So that's what I would say is it's not dead, but people are obsessed with paying no royalties, and a free mint with 0% royalties is not exactly the plan for success.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that. And like I said, like I've been out for a couple weeks, which the NFT space moves incredibly quickly, which is why I'm asking. So, secondly, I've been sort of concerned about some of these older projects, like Doodles, stuff like that. I've heard Twitter Spaces, where people that own older NFT projects like Azukis and stuff like that are now sitting there and going, can we use these Reddit guys as exit liquidity? I mean, I was literally on a Twitter space the other day where they were talking about how to sell their current NFTs to Redditors. I mean, have you heard anything like that? Or was I just in a room of some bad actors, or what's your opinion?
No, I mean, I think that's a sentiment, right? Anytime you see the chart that's been flying around where there's more users with Reddit NFTs than there are, or more Reddit wallets than there are OpenSea wallets, you're like, holy shit, our exit liquidity is here. Saying it is one thing. How it actually played out, I would say, is the complete opposite. And crypto Twitter has been the exit liquidity. Crypto Twitter has been the major component of the pump. And Reddit used us as exit liquidity, and rightfully so. I look at that, honestly, coming full circle, as a good thing, because at the very beginning, I basically said something along the lines of the best way to bring people in NFTs is to have them buy one for cheap and sell it for a lot more money. And the liquidity that was brought on from crypto Twitter, given that Reddit started with the NFTs, is there was a ton of exit liquidity that resulted in a ton of profit and users that made profit that are therefore going to stick around because they made a profit. So yeah, I mean, I think anytime you look at those numbers, you're like, oh shit, here's our exit liquidity. Like, these stupid Reddit MFers don't know anything. We're gonna get them. When in reality, they came to us and sold us their bags, and we are now dumping our bags on each other. When you Reddit MFers are, fucking driving that check to the bank. So that's kind of how I see it, is how it's played out. Everybody thinks that the other person is their exit liquidity. Like, you think we're exit liquidity, we think you're exit liquidity. When in reality, I'm just happy there was some liquidity for you MFers to make a profit.
Hey, I kind of missed most of the talk, but I wanted to direct a quick question to you because you'd probably be able to answer it, Thread. Basically, this whole situation we're talking about right now is layer 1 and layer 2 tokens. Is there a chance of this going up the chain? Because there's like 7 layers when it comes to routing and networking. I mean, we could be doing layer 3, layer 4. I mean, how is this going to advance?
I'll be honest with you. Very good question. I would say I'm not the most qualified person to speak on the layers and what happens. I will say that it's pretty fucking encouraging to see Polygon getting so much traction and doing so well, because they've had all these massive partnerships and been doing a lot of good things for a while, but there's kind of been a stigma around Polygon NFTs, mostly because a lot of the scam and trash NFTs that are sent to your wallet, the ones that you'll approve and lose everything, or just crowd your hidden folder, are all Polygon NFTs. So other than a couple projects, I know a few gaming projects. Crypto Raiders is a gaming project that's been around for a while on Polygon. Like, outside of that, there hasn't been any NFT that has gained any traction over there. And honestly, more so layer twos as a whole. But these Reddit NFTs come in, kind of Trojan horse style. And now all of a sudden, everybody is buying Polygon NFTs, which has been pretty fucking cool to see.
Right on. Closing remarks from anyone up here?
Yeah, I wanted to say, Threadguy brought something up. If you end up with a MetaMask wallet, and you'll have NFTs just randomly dropped in your wallet, just out of nowhere. You can't stop somebody from sending you something. Most of these NFTs will be redirected directly to your hidden folder. And one thing that scammers will do is they'll send you this NFT and then they'll immediately place a high bid on it. And if you look at it and you're like, oh man, like this random thing, like all you have to do is accept the bid and you make a bunch of money. I don't know exactly how it works, but basically if you accept that bid, that they'll basically just wipe your wallet. And so random NFTs, if you find them in your hidden folder, they are 100% scams 100% of the time, unless you knew the person was sending it to you to begin with. Just don't interact with them. Don't look at them. Just leave them there and don't. I've got 500 of these things like per wallet just hanging out in there, and they're all scams. They'll just wipe your wallet. So don't touch them. And yeah, to Threadguy's point, Polygon had a brand issue, and that brand issue was all of those NFTs were for a while they were on Polygon, and they were on Polygon because they're so cheap to send to your wallet. So basically, if you're the scammer, you spend very little money to mint and send these things to your wallet, and so it doesn't eat into the money you make scamming people. So yeah, just don't touch this.
I had one quick question too. How does this sort of relate when it comes to like a Venmo or a Zelle, something like that? Which layer are they functioning at when it comes to NFT cross-reference?
Oh, I don't know about that. Threadguy, do you know about NFTs with Venmo?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not too familiar with anything over there.
Hey, cool. No problem.
By the way, Shillin Villain also wanted to make it today, but I sent him the link a little bit late, and we also had some delays due to Reddit's notification system. So he couldn't make it, or maybe he's in the audience and just doesn't know that the hand option is in the bottom left. But it would have been great to have him. Maybe we'll have him another day. We've been doing a lot of these Reddit talk specifically around collectible avatars. We had Franklin yesterday that if you want to check out, there's links to the YouTube and Twitch recordings in the comments. And yeah, we're really excited to have had Threadguy today. For those of you who don't know, Threadguy is huge on Twitter. He has some pretty informative stuff. So check out his Twitter, which is also linked in the comments. And definitely give him a follow if you want more of that type of content. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this was great. Really appreciate you having me on, and I like the chilling thing. That'd be great. Would that'd be a really good episode? And I know like I've been on, and then you've been on Spaces a couple times. Like we should definitely figure out another way to kind of host a joint one of these and bring the Twitter and Reddit communities together in the same audience. Like I think there's a lot of potential there, and these Reddit talks, you can really beef up the stage and get a lot more people on than you can a space. So I think there's a ton of opportunity there, and let's definitely sync and make something happen.
Absolutely. Like I think for those of you who don't know, Twitter maxes out their spaces at 10 speakers. We've got enough room for 32 of you guys on here, 32, 36, I'm not sure. So yeah, let's definitely break some records. So yeah, subscribe to the subreddit or the channels to make sure that you get the notifications, and we'll see you all either tomorrow on our pre-market call from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Eastern, or on Twitter. Thanks so much, guys, for coming out.
Come along with your wife's boyfriend.
Yeah, you're free +1s. All right. Well, with that, we'll see you all tomorrow. Don't lose too much money.